Hello and welcome to a new Allegro Network Multimeter video. Today I would like to present you the new features of the Allegro Release 3.1. The first and major feature we introduced with Release 3.1 are the new configurable dashboards. You will find in the left menu the new option Add New Dashboard. Here you can configure your new custom dashboard. You can give it a group, a description, everything. Once you have done this, it will be either under the group dashboard or it will be like my new dashboard, my test dashboard, a dashboard, which you can configure as you want. You can add widgets, you can of course configure the dashboard, give it a different name. So things you can do. You can group them to make that easier to read in the menu. Very important for the dashboard is that the dashboard itself is again flexible. You can configure the widgets to show either traffic which is fixed, so of a specific IP address or of a specific virtual link group, but you can also configure these dashboards to show traffic of a given IP address. For example, you can configure that dashboard to show you everything about this IP address here. So I can see here handshakes times as a server, 0 window packets. Let me zoom out and see if we had some. So here we can see then the traffic of that IP address. If I use another one, let me, for example, look for that. That's another server. Then I can see immediately the same dashboard for other IP addresses. So this dashboard helps a lot to give you an overview over multiple layers. So we could add here a new widget, and then we have here more widgets that we can show, and we are already planning to introduce more and more widgets with the next release. So this as a brief overview of widgets. The next feature I would like to present you today are the SIP statistics. Well, we have a lot of SIP statistics. Today I have a problem to show you. It is that we are all working from remote and I have only SIP calls going to our office but answered remotely, so I don't see the call. I only can show you call details, which is new, where you can see with the release 3.1 a lot of new data, so the RTP connections, RTCP states and everything, and of course quality of service and a lot of graphs per call. So this is new, that you can see all the data per call over a long period. I'm sorry that I can't show you this on our demo box right now, but it's based on the current home working strategy that there are no accepted calls in our office. Okay, point number 3 on my list is quite similar to the SIP view. It is what we call a multi-SIP view. We can show you if you have multiple link groups or you have multiple Allegros combined with a multi-device view, that you can see all calls going over all links over all Allegros in one interface. This allows very easily to search for a phone number, to search for other kind of data in a very, very simple way. The next thing we have introduced, which is very helpful again for once you have multiple devices, it is that you can up and download firmwares now centralized. So you have one master Allegro device and a lot of other remote multimeters, and you can configure them already with 3.0, but with 3.1 we added 2 very good things. Number 1 is you can update selected firmwares, or you can update all firmwares of the other multimeters to the current state of the master. And you can also synchronize the settings. So whenever you have changed some parameters, you can just push them to the other Allegros. And that makes it very easy to keep the devices in state for all or for a few of them. Okay. Another good feature we extended, and that was a big customer request, was our IP groups. Up to now, we allowed to have thousands of IP groups. So groups where you have subnets or so combined. The thing what was not implemented yet was that you can have per group a lot of new subnets. So you can add, if you have a subnet, for example, 100 or more IP addresses. This is now added, and you can have groups which exists of just a list of IP addresses, for example. And even if this list is long, this is now no problem anymore for the Allegro to show you grouping by a long list of subnets or a long list of IP addresses. We also improved the 802.11 statistics module, which can be used if you have for example, Cisco access point and forward the data to the Allegro, or you have a capture there. We can show you with the current release the BSS quality of service frames and show you who has transmitted which frame, what was the signal level, and so on. So by this module, you can see, oh, that MAC address had this signal level and this noise level, which gets reported. And you can go back and see with the Allegro what was the quality of the Wi-Fi link if you get the capture of it. The good thing here is, again, it works also with PCAPs. So if you have a PCAP of the Cisco access point, you can use it. Okay, there are two more features I would like to present you on my list. Number one is we added an extreme helpful filter for the packet ring buffer. And because what we have seen in many customer installations that you have a high-speed link, 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig. But you only have a few HDDs or SSDs running. And of course you can do packet slicing with, let's say, very strict rules, or you just monitor a specific subnet. We added a new function that you can add rules for SSL packets after the handshake. So the handshake itself is unencrypted, so you see the certificate and everything, which might be very helpful for debugging. But once the handshake is done, you only get encrypted data. And there is a use to get the data, but in many cases you just don't need them. So for example, what you can add as a very simple rule here is, whenever you see SSL and the handshake is done, please capture only layer 3 and layer 4. So you have the capture of the packets, you have the original packet size stored, everything, you have the TCP header in this case, but SSL packets, you don't capture them anymore. And this brings down the capture rate a lot. And because this works on our decoding engine, it works also on non-standard ports, it works on all kind of SSL traffic, and helps improving the data there. Okay, last point on my list, we improved the TCP flags a lot. So whenever you have an IP address and you go to the connections, we added more flags to monitor for TCP connections. So how many SYNs, SYNX, FINs, or reset have you seen for a connection? What are our connections with top SYN rates? And so we had a connection which had 4 SYNs and 5 SYNX. Quite interesting. And 1 FIN per direction. And this helps a lot to debug easily. Was there a problem in the handshake? Was there a problem in the connection setup? Or in the connection end? And also this helps to see, oh, was it a connection only with TCP SYNs? What happened on that connection? So here I could easily see we had 7 packets per direction. If 5 was SYNAC, 1 was FIN, there's not much more packets. So, and that helps immediately to see, okay, this connection seems not to be in a good state when it happened. Okay, This is everything I would like to show you today for the new release 3.1. We are already working very hard on 3.2 with a lot of new features, and we will publish, of course, their videos and everything for it too. Thank you very much for listening, and have a good day.